Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in today's video I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on the Netflix documentary WWE Unreal. So overall, I personally loved it. I thought it was brilliantly produced, but then, you know, it's Netflix, when do they ever not brilliantly produce something? But yeah, the coverage and the timeline that they used was really good as well, going from the Netflix debut of Raw. Man, they did kind of go back to the December Saturday Night's Main Event a couple of times, but the majority of it was between the Netflix debut on January 6th to WrestleMania. And yeah, I thought everything worked really well here, everything made sense, and I liked how multiple episodes were about multiple things apart from the last episode that was just about WrestleMania. And yeah, like I said, everything flowed really well. And yes, everything just seemed to be seamless transitions between each subject matter throughout the episode. But I'm not going to go through like episode by episode by episode, etc. I'm just going to give you like some of my favourite moments from the series, like throughout, and like stuff that especially worked well. But some of them, I've tried to keep them as in order as I could, to be fair. But the explanation of gorilla position I thought was done really well. Even like some parts that even I didn't know about, and the amount of people that are actually in gorilla position. I know we kind of see clips on like documentaries and stuff, but yeah, it's not like a big place. Like, it looks massive when they like see it on screen, but it really isn't. Like, when it's really full of people, it looks very cramped. Yeah, and also like we see the reason of having producers for matches, as well as like some of they name the producers being Bobby Roode, Jason Jordan, Michael P.S. Hayes, and Chris Parker. I will probably refer to as Abyss throughout, because I know him very well as Abyss, as Abyss was like one of my favourite wrestlers growing up. But yeah, like we see kind of the goings on of the producers and what they do, how they talk to the referees and the camera people in the back, and like just the amount of production goes into just creating one match, let alone a 3-hour Raw or a 2-hour SmackDown or a 4 to 5 hour pay-per-view. One of the things I especially enjoyed, especially in the later episodes, was seeing the producers go through the match as the match is happening. I think it's absolutely awesome to watch, like especially the with Jason Jordan and the women's triple threat match at WrestleMania, the way he was calling everything as they were doing it. Like, I don't know, everything about it was just like seamless and just a real joy to watch. Like, I was mesmerized watching them go through it all. It was really amazing. I liked how they showed how much of a rock Damian Priest is to Rhea Ripley, especially in the first episode, the Netflix debut, and her match with Liv Morgan, and how like Rhea was going through everything with Priest and he was just there chilling, and then like just gave her those words of confidence to really help her out. The use of social media throughout the Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes feud, and the way they kind of went through it in the back, and they were like giving decisions on like what they were going to do and how they were going to rely on the fans themselves to figure out, or not figure out, but like see everything go down to then add to the story. I think worked really well, and it was a relatively big risk, because obviously they could just think that was nothing and then not think anything of it, and it blew up the way that they anticipated, which shows like the amount of knowledge that these people who are putting all this together have. They're covering CM Punk's 2024 injury of the Royal Rumble, and like you could see like how, like, I don't know, like how disconnected he was afterwards and how disappointed he was. It was like, it like really didn't get to me like an emotional way, but like I felt even worse for him seeing it in a backstage setting, and then also seeing him later on again in the last episode going through the emotions of actually getting his first WrestleMania main event, like everything from before the match to after the match, and just how like the emotions built up for him, and like seeing him kind of come to tears about this whole situation. I feel like, well, I don't know the situation, but like the whole like feeling behind the moment and everything like that, I think like really helped people, or will help people resonate with CM Punk a lot more. The transition, one of the things that I absolutely loved, they did this, like I think they did it in every episode, was like the single frame but transitions of like stuff going on within a match. They did it for the 2 Royal Rumble matches, they did it for the Elimination Chamber match for the women, they did it for a couple of the WrestleMania matches, where like it's all one frame but you concentrate on one person throughout and multiple stuff is going on. It was absolutely fantastic to see. I don't know how they did it. It'd just be one of those, like the magic of producing and editing and stuff. But yeah, it looks absolutely awesome, man. Like I wish like WWE would kind of use that more often, and like their YouTube videos to show highlights of matches. It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, we go through then into like, I think it was episode 3. We get to see like the story of Chelsea Green. She tells like a shortened version of her career story, and how what I enjoyed more about this was the fact that we got a perspective from a mid-carder's position within the company. So obviously we're concentrating a lot on the likes of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and John Cena and Rhea Ripley, who are like cemented within their main event spots right now. So they don't really know what it's like right now to be down in the mid-card. So Chelsea Green's story really breathed some fresh air into this documentary, like dead in the center of it, and seeing like the process of, you know, not being booked for your hometown because you're just not on the same level as everybody else at that moment, to then going to Saturday night's main event and winning a championship and having the company really rely on you for something. You could see how much it meant to Chelsea. You could like see how everyone else felt around her, like her friends and stuff, and like how she's like happy no matter what she's doing. I feel like, you know, Chelsea Green's probably become an even bigger fan favorite out of the documentary, just because of how she looked. She looked like absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't think that she is naturally a heel character, just seeing how she is here. We also went through the process of Charlotte Flair's injury. We saw the backstage of her in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. It's, for me, like as someone who's watched a lot of documentaries on different wrestlers, this was very run-of-the-mill for a injury and return moment. But I feel like from an outsider's perspective, seeing that moment and having to see someone go through the emotions of getting injured, not knowing what's going to happen next, not knowing how the fans are going to receive someone upon their return and everything like that, I feel like it's going to be very interesting for kind of non-wrestling fans, which of course this is all catered to really, is the kind of casual to non-wrestling fans, whereas like me and like a lot of people I know, all the insiders kind of know all this kind of, they kind of know the story of everyone when they go through injuries and how that is. So I said it was very run-of-the-mill, but you know, I understand why they put that in. We also saw the process of Naomi's heel turn and the reveal with Jade Cargill attacking Naomi in the Elimination Chamber, which, by the way, even though this was the same event that Cena turned heel, one of my favourite moments of the year so far. Like the way that everything worked out here, from Liv's reactions to Bianca Belair's reactions, to the way that Naomi took a beating, to the way Jade gave the beating, everything about that was absolutely perfect, and I loved reliving that again through a behind the scenes kind of eyes, where you can see them piecing it together, and like the way everybody had to react within like a certain amount of time, and like there was very little communication between Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan, and how they were relied upon to give those great reactions, and they absolutely killed it. I mean, as I said, it's probably one of my favourite moments of the year, and yeah, just again seeing the way it was built was just really, really cool to see. We saw a few people who are historically heels kind of explain a heel turn. We saw Michael P.S. Hayes, as he was a heel with the Freebirds. We saw Xavier Woods as far as like the New Day recently turning heel on Big E. So we kind of got a old era and a current era heel turn stuff explained, which I thought was really cool. So they can kind of cover all basis of what turning heel means and how it can be executed very well. And then we went through the process of John Cena's heel turn and how it came about. And yeah, just like the amount of people that were in the meeting to kind of put all this together, or like, no, it wasn't, was it? They were kind of thinking of what to do for the WrestleMania match, but then you had the 5 people or 6 people involved in John Cena's heel turn. So sorry, I got that completely wrong, misremembered completely. But yeah, so we had like, I think it was Nick Khan, The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson, Cody, Cena, Triple H, and Travis Scott. Really didn't understand why they had to go through Travis Scott for the heel turn. I feel like his position really should have been, this is what we're doing and that's what you should do, and you should do this and you should do that, and he just takes instructions, not sure how, making sure he feels comfortable. To be fair, if you're getting involved in WWE and you're a fan, like, you'll pretty much do whatever you want them to do, or at least that would be my point of view as a loser fan in his office making videos. But yeah, no, just the involvement, the planning and the execution of it just explained very, very well. And yeah, like the stuff came through of like how this came about and stuff, how it was last minute and how it wasn't, all sort of stuff. Honestly, just watching the whole process was awesome. I absolutely loved it. And like making sure that everything was done in the correct way, and the way that Rock suggested doing the slit of the throat thing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I found it very enjoyable to go through, and maybe some people particularly didn't like this part because it was so like looking behind the scenes, and you know, I don't know, I feel like people like, you know, don't like this kind of thing and the whole kayfabe thing. Honestly, I don't mind, and I find it very interesting. So yeah, I love this part of the documentary. And then the last episode again was all the final prep and execution of WrestleMania, and how they kind of don't stop once Mania is finished. I said one of the massive highlights on that episode was seeing Jason Jordan go through the triple threat match, seeing, I believe, I can't remember who the person was who produced the men's triple threat, but again, seeing them kind of go through everything as it happened was absolutely awesome. And I feel like I could watch like a full hour of just watching a producer go through a full match as the match is happening, and like contacting the cameras and the referees and everything about that. It was very entertaining to watch. And then yeah, they showed how there's kind of no off season within WrestleMania, as they always say. How Triple H had a couple minutes to himself, and then he got handed papers for Raw. I know some people didn't like the fact that they showed the fact that he got handed papers for Raw, and like it maybe takes the magic away. But to be fair, there's so much planning that goes into these episodes of Raw and SmackDown, NXT, even probably Dynamite and Collision, and as well as the pay-per-views. There's no way that they wouldn't just be like thinking of it just at the time. They'd probably be planning well in ahead. So yeah, again, everything worked really well here as far as the coverage of WrestleMania. But again, for me, as someone who like used to watch WWE 24 on the WWE Network, they did these kind of documentaries for like WrestleMania WrestleMania like 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, etc. So again, it's not anything I've not seen before other than the producers' parts in the matches. But yeah, honestly, I've watched this through like a couple of times at this point. I'm set to watch it through again with one of my friends who isn't a wrestling fan, and yeah, I'm very interested to get her point of view of all this as well. But I have really nothing negative to say about this. I found everything very interesting, very engaging, very enjoyable, and found out stuff about WWE that I didn't know before. So even for someone who's been watching it for nearly 20 years at this point, I'm finding out new stuff which I will never complain about. So yeah, I mean, I even saw today that there's going to be more episodes but new episodes brought out next year, which again, already, even though this documentary hasn't even been out a week yet, I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait to see the next ones. So yeah, I said everything about this was a huge positive for me. I know there are some people that are going to not like it because of its kind of looking back behind the curtain, and I fully understand where they're coming from, and everyone has their own personal preferences. But yeah, for me, this was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, as I said, I cannot say enough good about it. But yeah, what did you think? Do put down in the comments below and we can have a good discussion about what you thought of it. Was there any moments that particularly stood out to you? Was there some moments that you really didn't like? Do you feel like they could have maybe concentrated on some other superstars and varied throughout the card about how WrestleMania feels to them? And all that kind of, just a suggestion, I guess. But yes, thank you very much for watching. There's a lot of stuff coming up on the channel as far as SummerSlam goes. There's reviews of night 1 and 2 coming over this weekend, so Sunday and Monday. Already on the channel, there is my Wrestlers of the Month. I was trying to think of my Wrestlers of the Month for July, and it's a pretty decent list now. Not to spoil something, but a pretty shocking number 2 in my opinion, or at least like one that maybe people won't expect, as well as my favourite matches on each SummerSlam of the last 25 years, and a review of SummerSlam 2005 on the channel up already. So yeah, a lot of content coming up on the channel in the future, and a lot of stuff already on the channel, so go check those out. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe, as I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by maybe the end of the year. I tried to do it before SummerSlam and it just didn't work at all. So yes, if you enjoyed it, do subscribe, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. Now I'll see you guys in the next one.